It was supposed to be a feel-good appearance, a celebration of a Hollywood icon. Sylvester Stallone, the legendary actor behind cinematic giants like Rocky and Rambo, was welcomed onto The View to promote his new docuseries and share anecdotes from his storied career. From the moment he walked on stage, the audience erupted with applause. He gave a modest wave, flashed his trademark smirk, and sat down beside Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Alyssa Farah Griffin. The energy was upbeat. At first, the co-hosts opened with softball questions, his fitness routine, memories from Rocky IV, and his thoughts on fatherhood in Hollywood. Stallone, relaxed and charismatic, responded with charm. The conversation flowed smoothly, and it seemed like one of The View's more nostalgic segments. But then, in a move that visibly shifted the tone, Joy Behar leaned forward and asked, "Sly, you've built your career on hyper-masculine characters, Rocky, Rambo, Cobra. Do you ever reflect on how those roles have shaped male identity, maybe even contributed to toxic masculinity?" Stallone looked momentarily stunned, his jaw tightening. The room tensed. Audience members began exchanging glances. "I've always tried to show the human side of my characters," he replied, his voice low but steady. Rocky wasn't about violence, it was about fighting through adversity, believing in yourself. Rambo was about trauma, about how war changes people. Joy didn't back down. "But don't you think that a lot of young men grew up idolizing your characters for the wrong reasons? Guns, aggression, solving problems with fists." The tension was now undeniable. Whoopi shifted uncomfortably in her chair. Sunny glanced toward the producers behind the camera. But Joy continued, undeterred. "Look, I'm just saying, it's a different world now. Maybe it's time we reevaluate what kind of hero we hold up." Stallone took a long breath, his demeanor changing. "You know, I came here to talk about art, not get psychoanalyzed for roles I played 40 years ago," he said, narrowing his eyes. "These movies inspired people, kids who were bullied, people with nothing, they found strength in those characters." The audience murmured, some clapped in support, others stayed silent. Joy pressed again, "But shouldn't we talk about the message those characters sent, especially now? We're living in a different era." That was the moment Stallone reached his limit. "You know what, Joy? Maybe you should actually watch the films before making judgments. There's more heart in Rocky than most of what's on TV today. If you want to make a statement, fine. But don't drag me in as your scapegoat." The words hung in the air like a grenade. Then Stallone unhooked his microphone, stood up, and looked directly at the camera. "I've had enough of this," he muttered. "I didn't come here to be insulted." And just like that, he turned and stormed off the set. Whoopi tried to salvage the moment, murmuring, "Well, that escalated fast," as the camera cut awkwardly to commercial. The producers were scrambling. Joy sat back in her chair with arms folded, unapologetic. But backstage, things were even more heated. Backstage, the energy was electric and volatile. As the cameras on The View cut to an emergency commercial break, Sylvester Stallone paced the corridor behind the stage, his hands clenched in frustration. A couple of rattled producers followed closely behind, trying to calm the situation, but Stallone was in no mood for damage control. "She came at me like I'm some kind of villain," he barked, voice echoing down the hallway. "I've spent my entire life telling stories about the underdog, about heart, and she calls it toxic masculinity. You kidding me?" One producer held up his hands. "Sly, we didn't expect it to go there. Joy wasn't supposed to press that hard. It was meant to be a soft segment." "Soft?" Stallone turned sharply. That was an ambush in slow motion. Meanwhile, on set, the co-host sat in a strange mix of stunned silence and awkward deflection. Whoopi tried to steer the mood back to center. "Let's take a breath, folks," she said, addressing the audience. "We clearly hit a nerve, but this show is about having tough conversations." But Joy Behar wasn't backing down. Arms crossed, she stared into the camera and said, "Look, I asked a question. If he can't handle being challenged, maybe that says something." The audience gasped. A few members even booed. Online, the backlash was immediate. Within minutes, clips of the fiery exchange were uploaded across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Hashtags like #Stallone deserved better, #TheViewMeltdown, and #CancelTheView began trending. Viewers called the interview a setup, accusing Behar of baiting a legend for ratings. Even celebrities began weighing in. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted, "Sly is a class act. A real one. That man's legacy is untouchable." Arnold Schwarzenegger added on Instagram, "Nobody represents grit and soul like Stallone. These talk shows should honor, not attack." Back in Stallone's dressing room, his team was advising him to stay quiet, let the media run its course. But Stallone, still fuming, had other ideas. "I've taken hits before," he muttered. "This one, I'm hitting back." Within an hour, he posted a video message to his 18 million Instagram followers. Standing in front of a framed Rocky poster, he addressed the camera directly. His voice was calm, but there was fire in his eyes. "I don't mind a tough question. I've been asked about everything, from politics to parenting. But when you reduce decades of storytelling to a soundbite about toxic masculinity, you're not looking for truth, you're looking for a viral clip. I didn't create Rambo to promote violence. I created him to show what war does to the soul. I didn't create Rocky to be a macho man. I created him to show how you get back up after life knocks you down. If you can't see that, you weren't watching." The video spread like wildfire. Comments poured in, support, admiration, and outrage at the show's treatment of him. Fans shared their own stories of how Rocky inspired them during hard times. Veterans spoke of how Rambo helped them process their trauma. Teens, athletes, cancer survivors, all chimed in, echoing a similar refrain: "Stallone's characters didn't hurt us, they healed us." The fallout at ABC was swift. Sources leaked that executive producers were furious with Joy Behar's unsanctioned direction during the segment. Internal talks began about putting her on temporary leave. Joy herself, normally quick to tweet, went uncharacteristically silent. By the next morning, ABC issued a carefully worded statement. But for Stallone, the damage was already done, and the redemption already won. In standing his ground, he didn't just walk off a show. He walked back into the hearts of millions who felt his words, his pain, and his passion.